an op-ed in the Washington Post, a task force put together by the Economic Strategy Group discusses a four-part plan for a successful economic recovery post-COVID-19. Joining us now with the details of that report that was done by Jason Furman, Timothy Geithner, Glenn Hubbard, and others is Jason Furman, as we just said, House Council of Economic Advisors Chairman, a professor of Harvard, of course, at Kennedy School there, and one of the authors of that plan. He made an early call on a V-shaped recovery for the economy. So you are right there, and I want to talk about that in just a minute. But I want to get into some of the ideas that you're suggesting here in terms of what the government needs to do and how much money we need to throw or spend at this over the next several months.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'm still worried we're not close to out of the woods. The recovery we've seen so far has been assisted by extraordinary fiscal and monetary support. And if we pull that away too soon, we'll pull the rug out of the prospects for the U.S. economy.
Okay, but one of the things, so let's go through the list of things that you think need to happen. So one of the things, and we've talked about it, is unemployment insurance, how much people are getting paid. You think people need to get paid less because it's creating too much of an incentive to stay home. What do you want to do?
Yeah. So first of all, I should stress this is all a bipartisan plan. Glenn Hubbard had my job under President Bush. We pretty much came together and agreed on almost everything relatively easily. I think the most important thing is that we don't let expanded unemployment insurance go away entirely after July. That would be a large contraction for the economy. There's incredibly high unemployment. We should be paying people more than normal. But we're proposing to taper that down and taper it down in proportion to the unemployment rate. So as the unemployment rate comes down, the extra money you're getting would go down. We'd start with replacing about 90% of what you'd get on the job. And then with lower unemployment rates, that would go lower.
I'm going to skip around here. You also think we need to lend more to small and medium-sized businesses, but we don't need more money. You just want to take some of the money that's already been allocated and reallocate it effectively.
Exactly. In the CARES Act, Congress set aside $454 billion for lending. About half of that hasn't been allocated. And even the parts that has, the Treasury has effectively said to the Fed, we want to make sure you don't lose any money. As a result, they've set up lending programs that I think are doomed to failure. They can fix those lending programs with more generous terms, more junior debt, longer term loans, and they can do that without any new commitment of money. They just need the Treasury to say, you need to be willing to risk the money that Congress already set aside for lending.
Jason, your plan costs at minimum $1 trillion more than's already been outlaid. What happens if that doesn't happen? I know you've called for a V-shaped recovery, and thus far you seem to be on track, or at least doing better than some of the others who've prognosticated lesser fortunes. But if there's not more stimulus, what happens?
You saw that tremendous consumption number yesterday, that retail sales number. That was in part because disposable incomes were up in the month of April because of all the work we did, and that carried forward when people were able to spend the money in May. You would see some reversal of that in August and September. You'd potentially see us, double dip reversal in terms of our economic trajectory. And I wouldn't want to take my chances on something like that when we're still in a very fragile and very uncertain position with the virus and with the economy.
Do you have any worry that the market is creating bubbles because of what the Fed is doing and because of what Treasury is doing?
I think the Fed is doing exactly the right thing. I think it's too hard to figure out and call when there is and isn't a bubble and try to prick it. The market, I don't think it's in a totally crazy place, given where interest rates are, given the speed with which retail sales grew and the like. Although I worry that it has a little bit of a herdish thing. And if, we get a second wave, something like that, that would be a large negative and that there's, a 50% chance or more of that happening.